Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayam Mudire. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhavuta Sevya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistagi. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is the very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Narayana, unto Narayana and Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yonta Pravishya Mamavacha Imam Prasuttam Sanjeevayati Akila Shakti Darasvadamna Anyam Sahasya Chahana Shavanatvagadi Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Tasmatakam Vikita Viklava Ishvarasya Sarvatmanam Nami Yatamanisham Nicho Jaya Guna Visarga Anupravishtava Yetagena Ginuman Anuvarnitena Om Vishnu Om Vishnu Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Vichara Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama. We are reading from first canto, 9th chapter, 46 and 47. Tasya nirharana hadini sampretasya bhargava yudhishthira kara itva murtam dukkito bhavat tas nirharana adini sampretasya bhargava yudhishthira kara itva Muhurtam Dukito Bhavat Tasya, his Nirharana Adini, funeral ceremony. Sampre Dasya, of the dead body. Bhargava, who descendant of Prabhu. Yudhishthiraha, Maharaj Yudhishthira. Artha Kara Itva, having performed. Muhurtam, for a moment. Dukitaha, sorry. Abhavat became. Translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Gita. Who descendant of Prabhu, Saunaka, after performing funeral rites for the dead body of Bhishmadev, Maharaj Yudhishthira was momentarily overtaken with grief. Purport, please hear. Bhishmadeva was not only a great family head of Maharaj Yudhishthira, but also a great philosopher and friend to him, his brothers and his mothers. Since Maharaj Pandu, the father of five brothers, headed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, had died, Bhishmadeva was the most affectionate grandfather of the Pandavas and caretaker of the widowed daughter-in-law Kunti. Although Maharaj Dhritarashtra, the elder uncle of Maharaj Yudhishthira, was there to look after them, his affection was more on the side of his 100 sons, headed by Duryodhana. Ultimately, a colossal clique was fabricated to deprive his five fatherless brothers of the rightful claim of the kingdom of Hastinapur. There was great intrigue, common in imperial palaces, and the five brothers were exiled to the wilderness. But Bhishmadeva was a sincerely sympathetic well-wisher, grandfather, friend, philosopher to Maharaj Yudhishthira, even up to the last moment of his life. He died very happily by seeing Maharaj Yudhishthira to the throne. Otherwise, he would have long ago quitted his material body. Instead of suffering agony over the undue suffering of the Pandavas. He was simply waiting for the opportune moment because he was sure and certain that the sons of Pandu would become victorious on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As his Lordship Krishna was their protector. As a devotee of the Lord, you know that Lord's devotee cannot be vanquished at any time. Maharaj Yudhishthira was quite aware of all these good wishes, and therefore he must have been feeling the great separation. He was sorry for the separation of a great soul, not for the material body which Bhishmadev relinquished. Funeral of him was a necessary duty, although Bhishmadev was a liberated soul. Since Bhishmadev was without issue, the eldest grandson, namely Maharaj Yudhishthira, was the rightful person to perform this ceremony. Great boon to Bhishmadev that an equally great son of the family undertook the last rites of a great man. Next verse, 1947. To तुष्टुर्मुनयो हृष्टाः कृष्णं तद्मुख्य नामभिः ततस्ते कृष्णहृदया स्वाश्रमान् प्रयुः पुनः तुष्टुः satisfied. Munaya, the great sages, headed by Vyasadeva, etc. Rishtaha, all in happy mood. Krishnam unto Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Tat is Gukya, confidential. Namabi is holy name, etc. Tata, thereafter. They. Krishna in the Deha, persons who always bear Krishna, Lord Krishna in their hearts. Swa Ashraman, to their respective hermitages. Prayuhu, return. And Punaha, again. Translation purport by Sivan Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All the great sages then glorified Lord Krishna was present there by confidential Vedic kings. Then all of them returned to their respective hermitages, bearing always Krishna within their hearts. Devotees of the Lord are always in the heart of the Lord, and the Lord is always in the heart of the devotees. That is the sweet relations between the Lord and his devotees. Due to unalloyed love and devotion for the Lord, the devotees always see within themselves. The Lord also, although he has nothing to do, nothing to aspire to, is always busy in attending the welfare of his devotees. For the ordinary, beautiful statement. Although he has nothing to do, nothing to aspire, he is always busy in attending the welfare of the devotees. This is a very important point, how Krishna, Lord is merciful. For the ordinary beings, the law of nature is there for all actions and reactions, but he is always anxious to put his devotees on the right path. The devotees, therefore, are under the direct care of the Lord. The Lord also voluntarily puts him under the care of his devotees only. So all the sages, headed by Vasudeva, were devotees of the Lord, and therefore they chanted the Vedic hymns after the funeral ceremony just to please the Lord, who was present there personally. All Vedic hymns are chanted to please Lord Krishna. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. All the Vedas, 15:15, all the Vedas, Upanishad, Vedanta, are seeking him only, and all hymns are for glorifying him only. The sages therefore performed the exact acts suitable for the purpose, and they happily departed for their respective hermitages. Okay. So we are just in that situation. I think what has happened, we saw that Bhishma's prayers, he started praying. He was absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Iti Mati Rupa Kalpita with Krishna. So he was completely, his thinking, feeling, and willing, all the three were absorbed in Krishna because he was Ekanta Bhakta. 1922 says. Ekanta Bhakta means unflinchingly attached to Krishna. There is no way, in spite of being fighting in the opposite side. But he is a devotee. Krishna has placed him in that position and he accepted the position without any grudge. We will see what all the sacrifice he has done. We are going to discuss that. So this is the point. So and then 36 to 42. There are 32 to 42, almost 11 prayers. They are wonderful prayers. They are wonderful to be meditated and to be assimilated and to be applied. And then you can see he was always glorifying Krishna nicely because the prayers are meant for glorification, glorifying the Lord, and especially he was attracted to the form of Parthasadi when he saw Krishna in the chariot along with Arjuna. And therefore he was glorifying as Vijay Sake, Arjuna Sake, like that he was glorifying. So he was always addressing the Lord lovingly, and he was seeing the Lord. And even though in the full battle, where he has to, big battle he has to make, but he was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. See, that's what Krishna says now. What is that verse? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu manusmana idacha. Yome Bhaktya Asamshaya. So that means Tasmat Sarveshu Kali Manusmana Idacha. He was fighting, but he was always remembering Krishna. And therefore, the entire scene of Krishna's bodily features were fully absorbed by each and every part of the body. Of blood was coming out, and the sweat was coming out, and then his upper garment was fallen down about when Bhishma was about to kill Arjuna. All these times, we can see that Bhishma was fully absorbed in Krishna. And therefore, it's what we have to do. Just like, um, uh, suppose a girl comes to the office and works, but she has got a small child in the house. Her mind will be always absorbed in thinking of the child. Even though she'll be counting cash, she'll be working in the office, mind will be thinking what my son will be doing, what will my son be doing, even though there's a servant mind is there. So this is always absorbed. So it is possible. We are doing as Mataji's, you know about it. So the same way, um, you are missing the child and you are working in the office. So this is how it happens. And therefore, it is quite possible that the same way Bhishma Dev was remembering Krishna and fighting the war with the fullest extent. There was no iota of duplication. He was completely obedient to the Hastinapur instructions of Duryodhana. See, such an exalted personality. You see the parampara they are there. And what is his knowledge? His knowledge he learned from Parshrama Astra. Parshrama is not different from Krishna incarnation. And he learned from Agast. He learned from he learned from Vashishta, the spiritual knowledge, and he studied under Brihaspati for practical knowledge. See, who are all these acharyas? Vashishta Muni, Parashurama, and Brihaspati. And then he learned Nidhi Shastra, Shukra Nidhi on his own. Imagine such an exalted. And then you see what is the relationship between him and he is a grandfather here. See, 4 generations. See how much generation? See, his generation is first Chitravirya and Chitrangada. They were there. They were like their brothers, but they were like small children only. They were not a big children because Bhishma was very old when he was 32 years old, 22 years old when Satyavati was married to Shantanu. So imagine the child were the brothers Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. They were like sons, and then the next generation they had Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. They are grandsons. It's like grandson almost. They are not grandson. And then Arjuna, Yudhishthira, and Duryodhana are a great grandson. But he was obediently following the instruction of Duryodhana, who was the king of Hastinapur. Imagine, he was just replying to great grandson and fighting the battle. Imagine such an exalted position, Ekanta Bhakta, because this Krishna Seva Ananda. He was doing the Hastinapur job, Krishna Seva Ananda. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think 4th chapter or 5th chapter, the glories of Lord Nityananda, appearance of glories of Lord Nityananda, 4th chapter, Krishna Seva Nityananda. I think 4th chapter or 5th chapter, 11th verse. If you want, you can refer. So, see, Krishna Seva Ananda. Krishna Seva Ananda means Nityananda was so much happy to serve. The same way Bhishma Dev was serving the wonderful. Now, we will see how much sacrifice he has made. We discuss some of the things. Now, we will discuss some more. Is very important. And therefore, he was Ekanta Bhakta. How to become the Ekanta Bhakta means we have to do our sadhana, daily chanting of the holy names, daily doing the arati, then daily study of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, or any other literatures given by Prabhupada. We should study. Nityam Bhagavata Sevya must not be stopped. If we stop, then our devotional progress. And these are all because this is a way to become Ekanta Bhakta. Ekanta Bhakta means one pointed attention. We come when we absorb in reading Bhagavatam. Don't worry whether you can understand it or not. Just read it. Krishna will make you understand eventually. It's a process. And also, I was studying till now. I am not able to understand Bhagavatam. I'm still trying to understand. It's a long drawn process, several janma process. No need to worry. Our duty is to serve. Our duty is to endeavor. And Krishna will give the mercy to give the taste for understanding for the Nama Ruchi, then Japa Ruchi, and also Bhagavata Ruchi. All this Krishna's domain. It is not our domain. Our domain is to do the endeavor. And Krishna's domain to give the Ruchi, the taste. That is not up to us. Our duty is to endeavor. So, you can see what are all the sacrifices he has made. I want to see. I will not list down. Even though he was a Mahajana, he could not preach till the end. And Krishna made the arrangement for him. Imagine, last time also we discussed. Bhishma, in order to increase the progeny, he has to bring Amba Ambalika. It is none of his business. He is a brahmachari. He told Satyavati, he could have told Satyavati, it's not my business, my dear. My business is to protect the Sinapur, not to fetch your boys, girls for your boys. It is not my duty. He could have told. He could have told. He could have told Satyavati, please, you are my stepmother. No problem. I obey you. But because I am not interested in women, because I have taken a brahmachari, nice brahmachari, I have taken a vow. I will not go and touch any woman. Now you are telling me to get girls for this. He could have told easily, but it was a sacrifice. It was not his job. Yes. Hare Krishna. Anything, Prabhu? Sorry. Anybody wants to speak? Anybody want to share? Sorry. So he's saying, but he didn't say. He didn't say. He didn't say a single word to Satyavati. Satyavati Mata, please, I will go and bring Ambalika. When he bought Ambalika, Amba was a problem. Amba was already as a love with Salva, and was a big problem. And therefore he went to Salva. Salva refused, and then he came back. And then she went to Parasram, his teacher, and Parasram fought with Bhishma. Can you imagine? And then finally, Both were equal, finally. And then finally, Parshurama asked, you have to marry. He said, I cannot marry. I have taken a vow. And then Parshurama told Amba, I cannot do anything. You have to do your settle your job. I tried my best. I tried to convince him, but he's equal in my fight. Bhishma was equal to fight with Parshurama. Imagine, Parshurama is an expansion of the Lord. He is an avatar. He's not an ordinary incarnation. And he says, I is equal to me. Such an exalted position in Shastra. So he learned from Parshurama and he was able to fight with him. So nice. So and then Amba became she became Sikandi. She became a girl in the next Janma, and then she was made as a boy by Drupada, and then he has to die in the battle like that. And then see the sacrifice. 9 days. So many crores of people on the Pandavas were worried. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was worried that this Bhishma is killing mercilessly so many people. So what to do now? How to stop him? They were worried. 9th day of the battle. Then he went and then he asked Krishna, Krishna, how to stop this Bhishma? How to put an end to him? If he doesn't put an end, the war will not end. Then Karna is there, then Duryodhana, all these people have to be eliminated. It's going to be a big task, daunting task. It will be a very tough task, uphill task. It's like climbing Himalayas. So how we are going to do it? And then Krishna said, please go and talk to Bhishma. Bhishma will tell you the trick how to kill him. He will tell because he's a Mahajana and he is a Ekanta Bhakta. He's not worried about his body. So he went there and then requested him how to kill you. And then he told, I cannot fight with girls. You bring Shikandi. He knows that he is going to be called by Shikandi. Can you imagine? He knows how he is going to do it. You bring Shikandi, I will not fight with a woman and you can kill him. Then Arjuna can kill me. That's how he says. Then emblem of sacrifice. And then it is mentioned that Parshurama told that Karna also became his disciple. No? Karna is a disciple of Parshurama. And Karna was very egoistic, very, very egoistic. So Parshurama told, can you correct my disciple? And you do one thing, you put him down all the time. You put him down, and because he is very arrogant, so you have to correct him, and I want you to do this job. Can you imagine? He has to always chastise Karna. All the time he has to chastise. And then it was a thankless job. No? Why he has to do this? This is not his job. But he implicitly, Ekanta Bhakta. I have to serve my spiritual master. He did it for that. And then feeling of undeserving. When Krishna came, he says, I don't deserve to see Krishna because I am fighting in the wrong side. And I have allowed Draupadi to be our sari to be disrobed. So such a person, I don't deserve to see Krishna. He says, I don't deserve. He says, I don't deserve to see Krishna. I don't deserve to see Krishna's mercy. Can you imagine? And then every day he was having a Chaturbuja Narayana form and he was worshipping with full attention and devotion. Every day he has to. Before he comes to the Raja Darbar, he used to do this. That is the amount of dedication he has. Can you imagine? So, very intensive. That's why you can see how much he has dedicated his life. And therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling so much separation from him. And then more than anything else, biggest of challenges, he was fighting with that. See, he doesn't have father-motherly affection all the time. He doesn't have a married life. He has to take the curse of Amba, and he has to be on the side of Duryodhana with no preaching. All the disadvantages for a devotee to do devotional service. And he could not preach Krishna consciousness. He was a Mahajana. So imagine all the life. And then at any point of time in Mahabharata, it is mentioned that Krishna, why you are putting me in this situation? He never blamed. Ungrudgingly accepted the tribulation of the Lord as a mercy. And he himself tells that. He tells to Yudhishthira in the first canto, 9th chapter. If you see in the 12th, 13th, 14th verse, ungrudgingly accept the tribulation as a mercy of the Lord. So whole life was tribulation, and he accepted the mercy of the Lord. No grudge. He never had any grudge against Krishna. He never had any grudge against Duryodhana. He never had any grudge against anybody. So he was loving to all because he was a Mahajana. Mahajana enagataha sapanta. So Bhishma even also he was also very loving to Duryodhana and everybody, and then that's why he was able to be absorbed, and that's why we can see the beautiful verse. Vishuddhaya dharanaya subhas Tagdik 1931 is a very important verse. Please read this verse, and I will try to send one my Maharaj lecture on this particular verse. how to be alert in devotion service. Because how alert Bhishma was in devotional service, beautiful purport. Purport is also very good. So he was meditating and he was completely purified. Vishuddhan Janardhanam. Pain caused by the arrow wounds were completely no effect on him because he was completely, the body became completely transcendental. And that's what we can see. And the Bhishma welcoming the Pandavas. Now you see how he welcomed the Pandavas. He was suffering in the bed of arrows. Whole life is a sacrifice. And then he says a beautiful verse, 1:9-12. How kashtam, how anyayam, yadiyam dharma nandanaha, jeevitam naati klishtam, vipra dharma achyutashraya. He says, how kashtam, how much suffering you got, how anyayam, so much of injustice has been done by Duryodhana. And then yadiyam dharma nandana, you are embodiment of dharma, you Yudhishthira Maharaj. Jeevitam narahati, you don't deserve to live in this material world. Klishtam. Klishtam means he says you don't deserve. Your suffering is so much and you don't deserve to live. But because you took shelter of Vipra, the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, Dharma, religion, that is Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Dharma, and Achyuta, and you took shelter of Krishna. And therefore you are not supposed to live. He says that, oh, what terrible suffering. He is suffering at the bed of arrows. He is telling. Imagine, that means what we do. Suppose I am suffering. I am suffering so much. What I will do? I will tell Anuprabhu, I am suffering so much. We will broadcast our sufferings. We will say, my suffering is greater suffering than you. Prabhuji, your suffering is nothing, Prabhu. Prabhu, my suffering is so much. My wife is a problem. My father is a problem. My this is a problem. That is a problem. We broadcast our sufferings. But here, Bhishmadev says, my suffering is nothing. You have suffered so much. And this is the Dayaya Sarvabhutesh. That means he has got so much mercy for other living entities. And that is an emblem of sacrifice. And therefore, Bhishma Mahadev is such an exalted personality. Such an exalted personality. We can go on worshipping for years together. And then he was waiting. He was waiting for so many years to preach Krishna consciousness to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was so happy that he became, because he knows that Duryodhana is not supposed to rule. Then he was very happy to see Yudhishthira Maharaj. And that's why when he was in the bed of arrows, Krishna told, you decorate nicely. Bhagavatam tells, he tells Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas, decorate nicely and come and have the darshan of Bhishma. Because Bhishma, inner core of the heart, he was very happy that Yudhishthira Maharaj, as an opulent king, will rule the kingdom. And even though it is just 36 years of rule, but it will be Krishna conscious. Fully, the whole world will be Krishna conscious. And therefore, we can see in the Bhagavatam 12th chapter, we are going to read, where the cows will be there and the milk will be flowing like a river. The milk rivers are flowing because and all the vegetation was so fertile and there was no problem at all. Abundance in fertility, abundance in grain, abundance in everything. So everybody was extremely happy. So it was like a Satyuga for everybody. Even though it was Dwapara Yuga, it was Dwapara Yuga, but it was like Satyuga. So wonderful it is. So we will see Bhishmadev, and then you see how much he is praying to Krishna. So, and then this is the one point, and then we have a very important point. So Yudhishthira Maharaj feeling the separation for such an exalted person, and that's why all the sages, including Vasudev, Narada Muni, everybody came, because they know he is not an ordinary living entity. Therefore, the more we sacrifice for Krishna consciousness and don't broadcast our sufferings, the best thing, he doesn't grudge. The main thing we have to understand, he doesn't grudge his position. He was always satisfied and he never broadcasted his sufferings. What we do, my suffering is the greatest suffering. Prabhuji, office में इतना हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, मेरा बॉस इतना तंग कर रहे हैं, इतना तंग करो, पूछो मत, आपको तो कुछ नहीं है, मेरा तो तंग तो है, आधा रोज तंग होता है आपको, रोज हमको 8 बजे 9 बजे तक काम करना है, गधा जैसे हम काम करते हैं, कुछ नहीं होता, फिर भी हमको डांटता है इतना, जो मत हमारा हालत क्या है, इसके वजह से मैं चांद कर रहा हूँ, कृष्णा हमको मेरे को कृपा नहीं कर रहे हैं, मैं ठीक हो, इतना प्रॉब्लम है, मैं कृष्णा को चांद कर रहा हूँ, कृष्णा का नाम ले रहा हूँ, वो तो हमको परवाही नहीं करता, वो कुछ नहीं करता हमको. We will tell like that, but Bhishmadev tells in a different way, exclusively, because he doesn't want to complain. What he means, always tatyanukampam susamikshamam. He always tolerates as his atma kritam vipam, because he was a vasu. He's not an ordinary living entity, he is an exalted vasu from the upper planetary systems. Now, because of the separation, now you can see Dukitaha, Muhurtam Dukitaha. That means Yudhishthira Maharaj was unhappy. He was feeling depressed that such an exalted Acharya, such an exalted grandfather has left. More than the relationship. It is on the body, not on the body platform, Prabhupada writes on the transcendental platform. And the same way, we have to understand one thing. Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj is pure devotee, he also feeling separation. We cannot simply ignore our father and mother. And therefore, it is very important that suppose our father, mother, a close relative dies, we should observe that that's because Prabhupada writes this ceremony for cremation, all should be done. Don't ignore that. Except for sannyasis, we put them in the samadhi, but we have to do the cremation. And therefore, never ignore these ceremonies because the preta, this is sampretas means the dead body. Preta means that body which is lying without any physical body. That is basically the subtle body. Subtle body means mind, intelligence, ego, and the soul. All four are there. Preta, they call it. In Sanskrit, they call it preta. So it is lying and is hovering around the body for 13 days. And therefore, the 13 days, we have to observe dukkha. And we have to feel and regret and cry. Our dukkha should be expressed. Not that, no, I am a devotee. And artificially, we should not do that. Because we have the feeling of separation of the body. The body is given by my father. The body is given by my mother. Please, it is very important. So it is very important that we should not ignore. We could not say, no, I am a pure devotee. No, don't do this. We are not in the pure transcendental platform. So we are on the material platform only with material bodily concept. But what we should do, we should learn from Yudhishthira Maharaj. We should not be regretting for years together. Somebody dies. Actually, one child died, and they remember. Still, they remember. They could not forget the child is died. So they are not able to come out of it. Just like my mother, my sister passed away 3 years back. Even today, the moment he told the world my sister's name, I will never tell. The moment I tell her, she will start crying. Because the dukkha is not able to go. Putra shoka is very difficult. Putra shoka is worst suffering, unimaginable suffering, I'm telling you. Especially for the parents to lose their child is the most impossible suffering to tolerate. And therefore, if you are not Krishna conscious, what happens that we are not able to come out of the depression. Yes, we have to observe 1 year ceremonies, all these ceremonies you should not ignore. 1 year ceremonies, the 1 year we should not do any grand festivals, we should not celebrate Diwali, we should not 1 year observation we used to do in South India. 1 year we don't do celebrate, we don't put the rangoli in the front of the house. All these things we observe, and then we don't celebrate Diwali, we don't celebrate all this because it is very, very inauspicious because our close relative has passed. And therefore, it is very important to observe all this. That's why we have to understand this. And therefore, we should not be lamenting for a lifetime together. And then we should regret. Now we'll go to the next verse. So here, the next verse is that the main point is Krishna is mentioned that Krishna Hridaya. This is very important. So they were able to, the sages were able to take Krishna in the heart. And what was the two reasons mentioned in this verse itself? They were glorifying the Lord. That's what we saw, no? What is that verse? Krishna Munaya Rishtaha Krishnam to Gukya Nama Bihi. Nama means they were glorifying the Lord. That Gukya, the confidential, they were glorifying. And then they were Tushta. Tushta means they were completely satisfied. So, in order to glorify the Lord, we should know how the Lord is great. Suppose you want to glorify, we must know who great is. For example, I have to glorify Dhoni, then I will do the statistics. When did he join? How many years he did? How many years is the captain? How many matches he won? How many World Cups he won? How many 2020 he won? All these details I will collect. And then how many centuries he has scored? What is his average? How many stumpings he has made? So we make the list and we do a big analysis. The cricket they do. And then they worship. Just like Tendulkar is worshipped as God of cricket. The same way, we get all the details. Actually, one of my bosses in my erstwhile company, his name is Thomas. He's a Kerala Christian. But he's got so much craze for Tendulkar. The word, anything against Tendulkar, he will cut me out. So, because he has got a history and statistics, he has done a big analysis and he's keeping database. So, this is how they glorify? Because they do analysis. And therefore, because they know the glorification, how much they have done. This is for the ordinary living entity who is going to live for so many years and go away. The Tendulkar will not be remembered after 100 years. Whereas Prabhupada will be remembered for millions of years. Purushottam Das Thakur, 15th century he has left. after Nityananda's period. Now we remember him. How? Because he's an Acharya. So Prabhupada we are remembering. Prabhupada will be remembered for millions of years, not only 10,000, millions of years. Nobody can contribute like Prabhupada. So we will discuss about him also. Now, to understand the glory of the Lord, we must see how Lord is so great. There's a nice verse in the Mukundamala. I'll read that and then we will see little point of it. Mukundamala verse 14. It is in our Veda base. It is there. Virenu ranu payamsi kanika palpus pulingo lagus tejo nisvanam maruttanutaram randaram susukshmam nabah Shudra Rudra Pitamaha Pravrittaya Kukita Samastasura Drishte Yatra Satarako Vijayate Sripada Dhuli Kana. It says Prithivi Renu. The whole universe, the material world, is like a dust. It says Renu. It is like a piece of dust. The earth becomes no greater than a dust at the lotus feet of Krishna. All the waters of the oceans become like mere droplets, one or two. Ocean, you can say Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. The totality of fire, which comes in the forest fire, becomes a minute spark, a small minute spark. The winds becomes like a just faint side, just like a small wind, which is just touching our body. And the expanse of space, the ether, is like a tiny hole. Great lords, like Lord Rudra and Grandfather Brahma, become insignificant. And all the demigods become like small insects. Kita. Indeed, even one particle of the dust from our Lord's feet conquers all. Dust of the lotus feet of the Lord conquers. So that's why the sages, they know the glorification of the Lord and they glorify. And that's why we have to understand, especially the verses, the prayers. The prayers are all very good. All the prayers are the glorification of the Lord. So that's why we have to understand. We have to take from Mukundamala, we have to take from Bhagavatam, and we can take from Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the glorification. And Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, he also says, Edit Aditya Gatam Tejo, Jagat Bhashyate Kilam, Etrandra Etchaknav, Tatteji Viti Mamakam. He says that all the Tejas, the splendor of the sun, which dissipate the darkness, and the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of fire are coming from me. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also. So this is what we have to understand. So all these things are happening just like the earth. So Krishna took the earth. The earth can be lifted by us? No, which is so big the earth. And Krishna, what he did? The Prithvi, he took it from the Garbhodaka ocean and put it on the material world. Correct? It was lying in the Garbhodaka. And Lord Varaha, he entered into the, and he took the form of lowest incarnation, as a boar incarnation, and he went down deep and put the earth. So that's why we can see. We have to see how such a big Prithvi was taken in his touch so easily. And then the ocean. And the ocean we can see when Krishna Rama wants to cross the ocean, then the Samudra did not come. He just put an arrow, and then the whole ocean was shrinking so easily. It was drying up the whole ocean. The Indian Ocean was shrinking. Immediately, Samudra got worried and he came and fell at the feet of the Lord. So powerful because, and the wind which Trinavarta took Krishna to the 800 lakh miles, as Bhagavatam says, 800 lakh miles above. Krishna took him with the wind, viral wind, no? That this viral wind, they call it, the subtle wind. And then they call it tornado in Philippines and all. The Krishna was taken by Trinavarta to up to the 800 lakh miles. And Krishna just catch, Galag Rajaha, Bhagavatam says. Krishna just choked the throat of Trinavarta and he was killed. So the wind is also under the control of Krishna. And then we can see the fire. Fire means we can see fire. Krishna, that after the Kaliya Nardana, then they all settled in Yamuna and they were sleeping peacefully. Night there was a big fire. Krishna swallowed the fire. The fire which was so fire, forest fire. Forest fire cannot be quenched. We can see in Africa, Western Australia, and in Africa, in America, California and all, so many trees were burned to death. So many animals were killed. Forest fire comes, it goes like wildfire. It cannot be quenched. They have to put a lot of water from the aeroplane or helicopter, and it was a very difficult task to dose them off. Very difficult to dose the flames off. So it's very difficult. But just swallowed the fire. 2 times he swallowed in the Bhagavatam. No? 1 time here and 1 time with the Gopas. He swallowed the fire. Now this is the first point. That's why we understand the greatness of the Lord. The more we understand the greatness of Lord, more we are grateful. And we can see every day we eat prasadam, every day we eat so many things. And then Krishna is digesting. And then the blood is flowing. The blood is the liquid mercy of Krishna. Every day he is allowing the blood to flow to the brain, up to the body, every part of the body. And then the oxygen saturation, we know, oxygen saturation, they say that's why during this corona, the oxygen saturation level goes down 80, then the person goes up. Oxygen saturation means the oxygen is to be settled in each part of the cell of the body. And that is the capacity by Krishna. Krishna makes that. Krishna decides to leave the body, then the oxygen saturation comes down from 95, 98 to 85. And then you leave the body. So much potency Krishna is. Krishna gives supplies the oxygen, air. So much control Krishna is doing. Please understand the greatness of Krishna, liquid mercy of Krishna. The body is moving, the veins are moving, the blood is flowing through the veins in the brain. How nicely it is working. It's not imaginable for us. Second quality is the sages were satisfied and happy. And this is very important for us to understand. We should always be satisfied. And there is a nice story in this connection. Greed is always kills. Greed always kills. So there was one fellow, there were 4 Brahmanas. And the 4 Brahmanas, they were looking for some alms so that they can be settled happy. So they went and met a sage. The sage said, I'm giving you 4 sticks. He gave 4 sticks, wooden sticks, and tell that the place where the stick falls, that place you dig, you will get a lot of help. So then they all started going. The first stick fell down, was the first Brahmana, and he digged. And lot of copper vessels came. Copper vessels came. Then that fellow said, I'm happy. I can sell these copper vessels. I can get a lot of money and I can do business and I can be happy. So he went. Then all the 3 went. And then the second stick fell. And then he vote. And then a lot of silver vessels. Then he said, silver vessel is very good. I'm very happy. But other 2 people, they were envious. They said, no, we'll get more. Let us not be satisfied with silver. So this fellow was satisfied with silver and he went back. So Tushta Manaha, it is very, very important. Tushta Manaha is very important. So Tushta Manaha means, Krishna says, Santushta Satadam Yogi. Santushta means is always happy. That person is a yogi. That person is a bhakti yoga. Otherwise, he is not a yogi. Krishna says the Lord. So the other 2 people, they were going. And the third people got gold. And then the gold people said, gold is more than silver and copper. It will make 1 gram now is 4,000. I think it is about 4,700 rupees now. 1 gram gold. You cannot imagine. 1 gram is 4,700 rupees. So costly. So this gold is more than enough. Crores of rupees it will come. No need. You be stay with me. He said, no. I will get gems, sapphire, diamonds, and I will get so many other things. So I will go for others. So he goes, and then he goes to a mountain, and then he saw a man on the. There was a wheel rotating, and then it was rotating on the center of the head, and the blood was flowing. So this fellow, without knowing what is the consequence, he went and asked why the wheel is rounding. The moment he told, the wheel shifted from there and put in his head. And that man told, I also came so many years back. Mind is rotating, but I'm not dying also because I was in need of money. And then I thought I will get like a lot of money and gold. And I came here and I saw a man on the wheel. He was also greedy fellow. And because from I asked him, why are you suffering? That wheel came to my head. Now the wheel has come to your head. Please, thank you very much. I don't want any money. I don't want this suffering. I'm happy with whatever I have. And he goes back. And this fellow got stuck. The same way, Tushta Manaha is very important. And then once you are glorifying the Lord nicely and you are satisfied, once you glorify, you will be satisfied. If you satisfy, you can glorify nicely. Unless you are satisfied, it is very important in bhakti, you cannot glorify Krishna. If you are not satisfied, you are agitated, then you will say, Krishna, why I am suffering? Why I am suffering? Why I am suffering? Where is the question of glorification? So you will be thinking about yourself only. So you will be glorifying yourself. There is no question of glorification of Krishna. So you want when we are going to relieve my suffering? So you will be thinking of suffering and the problems all the time. And you will not be thinking about Krishna. So that is not possible. And you cannot glorify Krishna and the devotees. It's not possible. So that's why we should always glorify Krishna. And therefore, it is very important for us not only glorify Krishna, but also be satisfied. Satisfaction is the only shoe we have to wear at this satisfaction. And Bhagavatam, there is a verse, also 7th canto, 15th chapter. I don't remember the exact number. It says, unless we wear the shoe of satisfaction, we cannot progress an inch in the bhakti. We should be satisfied in any condition of life. And it is not so easy. It is very easy to preach that I can say, Prabhu, you should be satisfied. But I am satisfied? No. It's very difficult, but it is a process. We should go and more and more we can ask and pray to Krishna. Please give me the satisfaction. And Krishna only has to give this mercy. And then we have to endeavor for this mercy. And the more we hanker for Krishna consciousness, the more the material desires will subside. The more we hanker for Krishna, the material desires will all automatically subside. And that's why Prabhupada writes in 1.6.22, says the more we hanker to see my darshan, he tells Narada Muni, the more the material desires will dissipate. Whenever you have find time, you read the purport. Purport is wonderful when you have time. That's what we have to understand. Now, the next point is, so once you glorify Krishna and you are already satisfied, then Krishna will come and occupy them. Krishna Hridaya. Krishna Hridaya means one person always bear Krishna in their hearts. How to make the Krishna come into our heart? Krishna is already there as Paramatma, but he is unmanifested. He is not manifesting. Why is he not manifesting? Because we are not. And what is the way? There is a nice verse spoken by Kumaras in the Bhagavad. Whenever time you can read that. You can see in the Google also. You can find it out. You Google it out, you can find it out. Google is everything. Google is the biggest guru we have. So, nice verse, Mahatmya. This verse was spoken by Sanat Kumaras to Narada Muni and other sages. He says how to get Krishna in our hearts. They were asking a question, how to get Krishna in our hearts. Then this verse was spoken by Sanat Kumara. Sada Sevya, Śrīmad-Bhāgavati Katha, Yashya Shravana Matrena, Harishchittam Samashrayet. Harishchittam Samashrayet means, which is unbelievable verse. Sada Sevya. What is Sada Sevya? We will always serve. What it is? Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Katha. That means Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam must be in our daily lives. We should never miss Bhagavatam. And that's a Prabhupada program in such a way. You could have put other books also. He has put so many books are there. But Prabhupada made in the morning Bhagavatam. That is the purpose. That purpose we should not ignore. After chanting Tulasi Arati, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya. It is very important. If you ignore Bhagavatam, then we cannot get. And then what he says? Yashya Shravana Matrena. By hearing Krishna Katha, what is happening? Harishchittam Samashrayet. Hari, Krishna comes and takes shelter in the heart of the living entity. Manifests in the heart. That means Krishna comes. Samashrayet means complete. Ashrayet means shelter. Samashrayet means complete shelter of the heart. And what he will do? Krishna comes and occupies in our heart. If you hear Krishna Katha, then Krishna we will do. Vidunoti Samalam. Shrimatam Shokata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Iden Dastogya Badhani Vidunoti. Vidunoti means Krishna will take the jadu and then he will clean the dust. All the material desires, all our kama, krodha, lobha, everything he will remove. That is Krishna's duty. He will remove it. Only thing is, we have to hear Krishna Katha. And Krishna will come and do the cleaning. And then he will remove all the kamalam. And also there is a nice another verse also. Pravishta Kanda Nandren. By hearing the Krishna Katha, and then he removes Krishna. Krishna Dununoti Samalam. Dunoti Samalam means he removes all the material contamination. And that is Krishna's duty. Krishna's duty to clear that. Our duty is to Sada Sevya. That means we should always read Bhagavad. And then Prabhupada says, must read and heard at every step. That is a beautiful meaning there. Every step means every time we have to read Bhagavatam. And just by hearing or reading it, the Supreme Lord Krishna manifests. Means Samashrayes. He takes shelter. Then once he takes shelter, he will never leave. And that is what we require. Then what happens? Once he comes and occupies, then that's what the purport is very important purport. Right? The first line of the purport in this 1947. The devotees of the Lord always in the heart of the Lord, and the Lord is always in the heart of the devotees. That is a sweet relationship between the Lord and his devotees. This first statement, the first statement, very important for us to meditate. The first statement, before I go into this, I want to say how much Bhagavatam is so important. Because before I go and talk this purport, I want to talk about Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam, can you imagine how much Prabhupada has done? And in those days, Srinivasa Acharya and then Narottama Das Thakura and Shyamananda Pandit, they were traveling from Vrindavan to Navadvip just to sit with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to read Bhagavatam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the planet. He was so much grieving. When I will read Bhagavatam and all. And then after grieving, then in the light, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the dream of Srinivasacharya, and he said, "Don't worry, you can go and meet Gadadhar Pandit. Please take shelter of him, and he will speak to you Bhagavatam." And then he goes to Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit says, "This Bhagavatam is there with me, but the Bhagavatam, because I was discussing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all this Bhagavatam, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was profusely crying every time he heard Bhagavatam, because he is always crying on Krishna's separation. So these words have become smudged and words have lost value. The words could not be read. So can you get me another Bhagavatam?" So he goes for 3-4 months to get the Bhagavatam, all the 18,000 verses. It is 18,000. The moment he goes and then comes back after 3 months, it's not like now. And then 14,000 verses. Now you put in the Veda base, you put a top, you put in the Google, you put a Veda base, and you get the Bhagavatam into your set. And then how many sets you want? You can get it as much. Those days to get one Bhagavatam set, he has to endeavor for 4 months. Now you go to any temple, Bhagavatam set is there. But what we do, we will read after some time. We will read after my death. We will read next Janma. This is what our tendency is. Then you see what happens. So it's so pitiable that we don't open Bhagavatam. Including me, I'm not telling you. I'm telling myself. I'm not opening Bhagavatam. I say Bhagavatam is there in my Veda base. My mobile, it is there. But still, because it is said, familiarity breeds contempt. And those days they were so anchoring. And then Gauda, not the book, Gauda Gadadhar passed away. And then Gauda Gadadhar, then he says, Gauda Gadadhar came in the tree. Don't worry, go to Vrindavan. Rupa Sanatana Goswamis are there. You can go and take shelter and discuss Bhagavatam. He went there, Rupa Sanatana Goswami left. And Rupa Sanatana Goswami appeared in the dream of Srinivasacharya. Don't worry, Jiva Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, please read Bhagavatam. Then they got the association. Now we have all the things. We have got on the set, we have got in the Veda base, we have got in our mobiles, but we don't have time to even open and read Bhagavatam. For 5 minutes, forget about 10 minutes. And Prabhupada, how much this Bhagavatam is unique, and how much Prabhupada has put and toiled and morning. He was sleeping only he was sleeping 2 hours a day. 1 to 4 he was and how he did. You see, so you are not, I don't know Sanskrit. And then what he did, he made it in English, he transcribed. And then also, he said how to pronounce. He gives at the end of the Bhagavatam how to pronounce A. And then we can say, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Sevaya. Ya means ye, he puts and he puts the upper line. Sevaya. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavata, BHA, Ba. Which Ba we have to use? How to pronounce? He said use the word in this. So he is so meticulous. And then he put the diatrics. The diatrics word is never applicable everywhere there. So he put the diatrics, and so that we can understand and read. He put it in Sanskrit into English so that we can read. And above all, no problem. Now he says, I will put it in word to word. Tasya, this, Nirhana Adini, funeral ceremony, Sampretasya of the dead body. So he is giving word to word reading and translation and purport. So many acharyas have come. No acharya has done like this. Only Prabhupada. How much he has done for all of us. And then what we do? Avijna. So we just take it familiarity. I have everything, I will read. This is our tendency. Please, I beg at the feet of all the devotees. Every day open Bhagavatam. Never miss Bhagavatam. Not only hearing. After hearing, you should go and read this verse and translation and purports and go on meditating on this. And this is how we can progress in the scripture. And next, now, this is a very important point because I want to emphasis on the word reading of Bhagavatam. Now we go into the verse. He says, Sadhavordayam. Actually, this purport, the purport also is verse from Bhagavatam. This purport, once again, the devotees of the Lord are always in the heart of them. God is always in order. This is a verse, 9th canto, 4th chapter, 68th verse. So, Krishna's, Prabhupada says, Krishna Hridaya, Krishna is in the heart of the devotees. Immediately he quoted this verse. Prabhupada quotes this translation. It is a translation of the verse from 9.468. He is talking to Durvasa Muni. Krishna is talking to Durvasa Muni when Durvasa Muni went and offended, Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was a perfect devotee. He was also never complained. And then, because of the Ekadasi Vrat, he took the fire weapon and wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj. He says he's so arrogant, he was telling. But what happened? Sudarshan Chakra opened and started protecting. Protection comes, Krishna protects his devotees. Krishna never leaves. He starts his protection. Sweet relation, unalloyed devotee, the devotee is always within them and nothing to do and aspire for. Because Krishna is always busy in attending the welfare of his devotees. So that's what he did for the sake of Ambarish Maharaj. So it is very important. Sadhavo hridayam makyam, sadhunam hridayam taham, maddanyattene jananti, naham debhyo managapi. You read the purport, that is also very good. Because we are time constrained, we are not reading it. So it is very important. And how Lord works fasted, and we will close. There is a South Indian pastime. How Krishna was under control of these devotees. And then Krishna says in the 9.463 also, he's telling to Ambarish, Am Bhakta Paradina, yes, Vatandra Jacha, Sadhubir Grasta Radayo, Bhakte Bhakte Janapriya. Sadhubir Grasta Idayo. These devotees are such a staunch people, they put me into my heart, they tie me so, bound me with love of affection that I cannot get out of their heart. Sadhubir Grasta Idayo. Grasta means I was tied up and I cannot get out. Just like Yashoda Mother tied Gopalji, Damodara in the mortar. Like that, they are tying me all the time. So how can I leave them? The shelter. I cannot leave the shelter of them. And that's what he's saying. So how much Krishna is bound by the devotees. And that Asvatatra. Asvatatra means I'm not independent. In the first verse of Bhagavad it says, Janma Dasa Dhanmata Taratat Swarchesu Abhignat Swarat. Swarat means independent, he says. Here he says, I am Asvatantra. Asvatantra means I am not independent. There he says Swarat. Swarat means supremely independent. Now I am completely dependent, he says, on the devotees. So we'll see a past time, South Indian past time, and then we will close. So here, there was one devotee called Kanikandan in South India, in Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram is about 80 kilometers from Chennai. It is called Vishnu Kanchi. Vishnu Kanchi means lot of Vishnu temples are there. So there was one deity, and that deity is called Yatottakari Perumal. Yatottakari Perumal means he is Narayana only, Krishna in the Narayana form, is lying on the Adisesha. So that the Kanikandan was every day he used to worship the Lord, and then he saw an old woman in the temple. She used to broom the stick. She's around 80 years. So she was brooming and cleaning the temple and all. So the deity is there. He's called as Yatottakari. Yatottakari means and Sonna Varnam Seda Parama. Sonna Varnam Seda Parama, whatever the devotee wants, Krishna will do. The Perumal means Krishna, he will do. Sonna Varnam. Whatever the Perumal says, he does it. So I will tell you beautifully. So he says, it is wonderful conversation between the Lord and this devotee. Sadhavo Hriday Makyam. So what has happened? This Kanikandan saw this old lady is doing so much service to the Lord, but she is old and she is not able. She was panting, she was breathing heavily. And then he told Krishna, Krishna, please do something for her, make her young so that she can do some service. Immediately Krishna turned her into a young lady. And then she became very famous. All over the temple, that lady has become young, lady has become young, lady has become young. So this news went to the king. King said he was very old. He was almost very big old. So he called Kanikandan, please come. How did you convert this old lady into a young woman? Can you, because I am also becoming old, but I want to Raja, I want to live for another 100, 200 years. Make me a young fellow of 20 years. Kanikandan says, no, I cannot do that. I have to do only for that lady because she is serving the Lord. You are serving the country, that is okay. But I am not bound to do this. Please forgive me for that. This is the material thing I cannot do. And I have done it for the service of the Lord. That is very important. I am also going to do. No, but most of the time you are engaged in the material affairs. So I cannot do that service to you. Then he says, I am sorry, I cannot do this. The moment the king became very angry. He says, this is what you are saying? That you will not obey me and you will not make me young? Okay, you are banished from the kingdom. So he was banished from the Kanchipuram to go outside the city, outside the village. He was banished from the kingdom area, the Kanchipuram area. Then he went to 70 kilometers and it is called Oririkai. Oririkai means there is a place which is about 70 kilometers from Kanchipuram. So he was staying there. He was asked banished. The moment he banished, because every day Kanikandan wants to glorify Krishna. And then there was one more Alvar, is called Tirumashai Alvar. The Tirumashai Alvar comes daily, Kanikandan, both of them come, and the lady also comes and serves the Lord. So Krishna is very happy with all three of them. He was very happy. So next day, Tirumashai Alvar came and he saw, the Alvar saw that Lord was looking morose. Then he asked Lord Narayana, why you are looking morose? You see, my Kanikandan has gone. So he is not glorifying. There is nobody to glorify me. I am feeling very depressed. And my heart is in Kanikandan. Kanikandan is my heart. Because I am sadhu hridayam mekam sadhunam hridayam tam. I am in the heart of the devotee. So please tell me what I should do. He says, why you are wasting your time here? This king is a materialistic person. He wants to become young to enjoy the life, not to serve you. So I don't think you are fit to sit there. You do one thing. You pack your bags and pack your bed also. Bed is Adishesha. Pack your bed, pack your things. Now come, let us go and be with Kanikana. Let us take this lady also. So all three of them went to the Goririkai place, 70 kilometers. The moment he goes there, the whole Kanjipuram village, the village become very bereft of Krishna, and they become bereft. There was famine, there was disease, so many people were dying. The king was worried, what has happened suddenly? And he came to know that Krishna has packed. Krishna said, he ordered, Tribhushana was such an exalted devotee. He said, why are you wasting your time here? Please pack your things. So much love between them. It's a loving affection. Just like Yashoda chastising. Tribhushana says, please pack your things. Please pack your bed and go. Let us go. So he went. And then he went to the Oririkai. And then Kanikanan was very happy. And he was also hankering for Krishna because Sadhava became Sadhuna Mridamtam. So Krishna was there. And then they were glorifying and everything was nice, happy. But here, the whole famine, flood, so many problems came. And the Raja came to know that he has offended a pure Vaishnava Kanikandan, and Tirumala is also gone, and the lady is also gone. So he goes and the fall at the feet of Tirumala and Kanikandan. Please forgive me for the offenses. And then he prays to Perumal, please come back. Without you, this whole Kanchi is bereft of any auspiciousness. All inauspicious has come because of your missing you from here. And therefore, they prayed to the Lord. He prayed, I fall at the feet of Kanikandan. He fall at the feet of Tirumala. And then, and the fall at the feet of the lady, the young lady, and then all of them, they were pacified, and they said they came. Then Kanikandan and the lady came. And then Tirumala told Krishna, he told Bhujangasaya, that the Yathotakari Perumal, what is your job now? Why are you waiting in Ururikai? Now, Kanikandan is there in the kingdom of Kanjipuram. Let us go back. You pack your things. You pack your bed. He packed. And then he went into the pack your things. It is mentioned in Tamil. It is mentioned in the Pasuram. Paya Surutu. Paya Surutu means pack your bed and come. Because this is your bed, no? Adishesha is your bed. Pack your bed and come. And then he packed, Krishna packed the bed, and then he packed the bed from here to Goririke and Goririke to this. And this place is still there. It's called Edottakari. Edottakari means whatever the devotee says, he will worship. So that temple is still there. The very famous temple, 79 kilometers from India. And because he was implicitly under the control of the pure devotees of the Lord. But we should not do this because Kanikandan and Tirumala are on the transcendental plane of Bhishmadev and Yudhishthira Maharaj. They are not Mahabhagavatas. They are not ordinary living entities like us. They are like Vishwanath Chakra Thakura, Purushottam Thakura. All these exalted acharyas are on the same level. We don't know their level. First of all, we don't know. And therefore, we cannot imitate, we cannot dictate because we are all contaminated by Mala. But what should we drive is to intensify our Krishna consciousness by how reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, intensified chanting, and serving the Vaishnavas. Serving the Vaishnavas is also one of the keys so that we can get Krishna in our heart. And therefore, hearing Bhagavatam is very important. Please don't neglect Bhagavatam, and Krishna will ensure to occupy in your heart. Krishna, Sadhubir Krishna Hridayam. Then you can hold Krishna in your heart and you will never forget Krishna. And then Sadhavo Hridayam Makyam, Sadhuna Mradantam. Madhanatene Nananti, Naham Devyo Mana. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Grantaraj Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hare. Sorry for the time. Just 10 minutes extra I've taken. We'll stop it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class, and especially the story that you told about the South Indian devotees and the Lord. This was very encouraging. So I request all the devotees, please, if you have any question, you can ask Prabhuji, or you can write in the comment box. So you have 30 seconds. So you have time. You just think. If you have any question, unmute your mic or write in the comment box, please.
And also that Mataji sang, told about Purushottam Thakura was very good. Please continue to do Mataji. Really, Anushka Mataji. Please continue your service. Wonderful service you're doing. Remembrance of the Acharyas is very important, more than anything else. That is the service to the Vaishnavas. That is the very key to our progress in devotion. And there is no question, we will stop here. Thank you very much. If I offended anybody, please, I have spoken something wrong. Please forgive me for my offenses. And I'm just a primary school student, just like the child is being pardoned. Please pardon me. Even though I may look old, but I'm still primary school student in Krishna consciousness. So please forgive me for any offenses. And thank you for a wonderful opportunity to remember about this Tanikandan and Tirumashayalvar, exalted acharyas. And so it is so important that that the devotee becomes indirectly the control of the Lord. And Prabhupada writes in the purport in 9.4.64, I think, yes, indirectly the control of the Lord. It is mentioned, Ham Atmanam Asashe. And all the 4 verses he spoke about in the Ambarish Maharaj. All these are wonderful. How Krishna is controlled by his devotees. Very beautiful verses. And then we have not spoken about Yashoda Mata. We have not spoken about there are something more points in this purport which I could not discuss because of the time. Maybe next time we will see. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Stop
Krishna.
here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. We will pay our obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees and end the session. Vancha kalpatrubhyasya Asinduvai Nivacha
Parithanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai Sisi Radha Kunj Bihari Bhagwan ki jai Sisi Gaur Nitai ki jai Srila Prabhupada Priya Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Ram Shri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.